Okay, everybody, it's another Monday morning. It's November 18th, 2019, getting closer and closer to Thanksgiving. It's a drizzly day here in the DC area, so it's a great day to talk about diversifying revenue sources for
Mm.
associations. So hello again, thanks for joining us. I'm Cecilia Supp. I am a certified association executive and a consultant, and I am the principal and founder of Rogue Tulips LLC, which is the sponsor of our weekly show, Chatting with Agnes and Cecilia, where we discuss association topics. My usual co-host, Agnes Amos Coleman, is on leave this month, so my friend and colleague Scott Morris is filling in for Agnes as our guest host. So hello, Scott. Thanks for coming back this week.
Hello, Cecilia, and hello, everyone out there. It's great to be back, and we'll do our best to briefly discuss what can be a very complex issue for associations.
Definitely, yeah, it definitely is. Would you like to introduce yourself a little bit too, Scott?
Yes, similar to Cecilia, I'm a CAE, a Certified Association executive, and I've worked for 2 national associations and 1 state association.
Excellent. And what's your area of expertise?
It's in government affairs, which, as most people know, we discussed last week.
That's right.
Yes.
And we did. So, moving into today's topic, we're talking about diversifying revenue streams for associations. So as we all know, associations that are membership organizations, that which most of them are, I guess. That's a dumb way to say it. I'm just going to say that. Okay, that was this kind of Monday morning talk there. So associations tend to be membership organizations, and so you usually have to pay dues, or what I like to think of as participation fees, sort of like for the good of the order, keep the organization open so you can charge money. So the thing is, for associations to provide a wide variety of services, you need to have sometimes more money than the dues. So let's say if you want to have a staff, if you want to start a certification program, when you're running conferences, things like that. So Scott has a few areas identified for where we can pull in some more revenue. So over to you, Scott.
Well, there are essentially, from what I can see, 2 or 3 types of sources for non-dues revenue. One is revenue made from charging members additional fees for event and meeting registration, subscriptions, webinars, publications, things of that type. Another source of revenue is from advertisers and vendors who are looking to reach an industry or community. And there are also corporate sponsorships as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the thing is about looking for these other revenue sources is we have to make sure that they relate to the association. So for
exactly.
Example, everybody's like, let's do affinity programs and let's like get a rental car discount or a hotel discount or an airline discount. But what does it have to do with what your members do for a living? Because frankly, they can get all of that stuff from their credit card. So for example, American Express provides a lot of discounts, right? So if you want to travel with your American Express card, you can get a lot of that. Especially if you get like the Delta Sky Miles credit card from American Express, you can get a lot of those kind of things. So how is that helping your members do a better job? So for example, when I was a chief staff executive at an Association for Nursing Home Administrators, I started looking for affinity programs that supported what they did, like professional liability insurance. Because frankly, they really didn't need a hotel discount. They needed somebody to sell them affordable professional insurance. So this one aspect of looking at affinity programs. I mean, I don't know what your view is on that, Scott.
Well, affinity programs can be helpful to an association's bottom line. They involve the association's sponsorship, as we've been saying, of a commercial company's product or service, being marketed to association members through the use of the association's intangible property, such as, the association's name, logo, or mailing lists. And it's a win for the association, because the association is investing little or no time, money, or staff resources into this. And also, it's passive income, which means it's not related to the unrelated business income tax. So, there are benefits to having an affinity program. But I would agree with you that these affinity programs should be focused and oriented toward benefiting the members.
And let's, and I think if we took that approach, that would also help us create better relationships with our corporate partners.
Right.
Because we really have to see them as partners. I think sometimes they get frustrated because they feel like they're just check writing machines or ATM machines, like write me a check and then go away. There's still sometimes a wall between the members and the people who are providing this additional revenue. And that's a relationship issue. So working on the relationship aspect, especially now, it's like they really need to understand, if they're going to sponsor something, what their benefit's going to be. And you need to show your appreciation, and that means a certain level of inclusion.
Right.
I heard a story once from someone who went to an event at an association and was taken by the arm and escorted out because he was a consultant. Now, I'm not going to say who that person was or what the association was, but just that astounding act of, you're not welcome here because you're a consultant. And I think a lot of times we still see consultants and vendors. And when I say vendors, I mean people who sell you a product, like, a software package perhaps, or they're doing your job board or something. And we tend to think of those as vendors or industry partners, where a consultant is an individual selling intellectual property and expertise, and has most likely been a staff person at an association at some point in their career, or an AMC, right? So, that lumping together, first of all, of people who are providing very different things, but also just the fact that there is that wall, and like, you are not of us, or some sort of outsider. And it's like, not really, because we're all in the community. We're all doing this because we want to work in this nonprofit area, whether or not we're consulting. I mean, I don't know, Scott, I'm sorry.
No, I just wanted to say, to your point, I think it's really, really important, and a very good idea, and good for the association to develop that relationship with corporate partners in order to obtain their expertise and their point of view on very important issues. Because as you said, 9 times out of 10, they've dealt with a lot of the issues that the association deals with, and having their experience and background in approaching some of these issues can be very beneficial to the organization.
See, I'm so glad you said that, Scott, because people who participate in the organization by providing a sponsorship or an advertising, they usually do have a certain level of expertise. They're subject matter experts, and a lot of them provide content for us for our conferences. They do articles in magazines or newsletters, blog posts on the website. So that's an excellent point. They're not just there to necessarily get market share, although that's a driver, an important driver, but they're also there to share what they know. We all want to share information. We want to share our knowledge. And that's another benefit for our members by looking at that. And I think also, if you can create this is my opinion, I think if you can create a robust corporate partnership program, you can actually lower dues for the members. Because if you have that robust, right, Scott? I'm not just saying agree with me, but
Well, no, I believe you are right, because if your association is able to lower its dues for its members, that hopefully will have a positive impact on membership recruitment and retention.
Because if people are going to pay dues, a lot of dues, high dues, And to me, high dues are anything $250 a year and up that you then have to pay for other stuff. Okay, so
Right.
let's say you got to pay your annual dues, and then you got to pay to go to conference, and then you got to pay to buy a book, and then you got to pay for a
Right.
coaching session, and then you got to pay to get your name in the consultant handbook or whatever that.
Yeah.
So just like sticking it to people, and I will just use that phrase, sticking it, because I feel a lot of times that associations don't take an inclusive approach to these people who can provide other revenue. Okay, and maybe I should save that comment for Association Maverick, my other web series, but I'm just going to say it because at the 501c League, I wrote a blog post about that. Stop sticking it to consultants, because here's the thing: it's like people will pay for something that they feel they're getting a lot of value out of.
Right.
Also, we will pay for stuff because that's the only place to get it. And so sometimes you have to pay a higher fee because it's the only access point or it's the only company selling something. So, but let's look at this. So ASAE charges a lot more money for a consultant or industry vendor or industry partner for membership dues. And there's no differential in the delivery of what we're getting. We get exactly what everybody else gets. We just have to pay more for it. And what we're told is, well, you get access to this market. Well, actually, not necessarily, because there's limits to what we can do. There's limits to our participation. There is sometimes a lack of understanding among the other members of what exactly we do and why we're members and why we're there. And so keeping that in mind, you really can't diversify your revenue sources if you're not going to include people and make them feel welcome and really make them feel like they're getting value. You know, I'll use another example, again, from my personal experience, Association Forum. They do the same model. You have to pay more simply because you're not on staff at the moment. You know, and when you look at the arc of a person's career, I was on staff, then I was a consultant, then I was a chief staff executive, so on staff. Now I'm a consultant again. So what has changed other than my title and the organization? I see you thinking, Scott. What do you think about that?
Well, as you said, having more participation from corporate partners increases the member value proposition for association members in terms of their in terms of how they view their relationship to the association. And you know, cutting these or really limiting the association, the participation of corporate partners to the point where, as you said, this wall is put up, really benefits no one.
Right.
Yeah.
And I, oh, go ahead, Scott.
No, I'm done. I'm finished.
That's the end of the thought. Okay, because I think what it does do is drive people away.
Yeah.
So let's say you have a corporate partner, vendor, sponsor, exhibitor, and they're not treated like they're welcome. They're not thanked. They're not feeling like I'm meeting people.
Right.
And yet you just keep asking them for money. It's like, well, do you really think they're going to come back? I mean, I saw that at the organization where I was a chief staff executive. Some people just wouldn't come back because by the time I came along, they'd had one too many bad interactions or experiences with the organization. So they didn't want to come back. They're like, oh, you know, what's in it for me? Nothing. I'm out.
Right.
You really need to keep that perspective. And one of the things I value about my career arc is having been a staff person, having been a consultant, doing that sort of thing, is I can see it from the other person's perspective. And so put yourself in their shoes. You know, if you're an industry partner, vendor, sponsor, and as Scott had said in our prep call, he had come up with some ideas, like, you know, Scott, if you want to run all the ideas that you had written down for like places to bring in this revenue.
Well, yeah, there are some options, as Cecilia said, for obtaining, excuse me, non-dues revenue from vendors and advertisers, such as ads in electronic newsletters or hard copy newsletters that that the association provides to its members, promotional flyers in member welcome or renewal packets, ads in the association's marketing brochures that you might see at an annual meeting or event or a dinner. Also, allowing vendors and advertisers, on a limited basis, your association's mailing lists, for a fee, and also selling or renting booth space at annual conventions, which, by the way, is one of the highest and most one of the highest earning potentials for non-dues revenue.
Right. Yes, that's true, because you get everybody in one place at the same time, or most people. And then, of course, the addition of a virtual exhibit hall always helps.
Right.
For the members who are not actually going to be able to attend. So
right.
Those are some of those options. And again, we encourage our audience out there listening, if you are building these kind of relationships, make sure it's a relationship. It's not just transactional.
Mm-hmm.
That people are getting something out of it. They're feeling good about it. They're like, hey, I really feel I'm being listened to, I'm included, because there's, and I'm just going to say this too, right? We're at the end of our time and we're going to have to wrap up for today, but, and I'm sure this went off in a totally different bent than Scott expected, but that's what happens.
Well, that's always a challenge. No, I think it's been very interesting. I hope everyone else thinks that.
Yeah, well, they're at least going to be maybe talking about it if they watch it. But the thing is, like, I will just use, again, a personal example. I don't name other people's names. I use myself as an example. I am not renewing my association forum membership that I tried last year, and one of the reasons is that they're just charging me more for simply being a consultant. But the thing that really put the cherry on the top of that Sunday was when they encouraged me to go to Holiday Showcase, which is in Chicago, because that's where they're based. And I'm in Silver Spring, Maryland, so I would have to fly to Chicago, get a hotel, do ground transportation, etc. But they wanted $500 more simply because I was a consultant. And that was the Sunday on that cherry, the cherry on that Sunday, folks, I should say.
Wow.
That Sunday melted, let's put it that way. And then I told them I wanted to cancel my membership, and it took them 3 months to get back to me. So that's, there's like that member service issue, and that member service issue applies to consultants and industry partners as strongly as it does to members. So they deserve the same level of service as any person that you have a relationship with in your organization.
Right. So, Cecilia, if I could just interject, I mean, the thought I want to leave with everyone is that discussing all of these topics about diversifying your association's revenue sources and revenue streams is really, what is it that leads to both financial stability and financial growth for an organization so that it can provide the services and the products that its members are looking for.
That's a great calming thought for this topic. So thank you all again for watching. We ran a little over today.
Sorry.
But no, it's me. But it's an important topic, and I think one that's needs to be better addressed in today's world. So we'll leave it at that. Want to thank Scott again for filling in for Agnes. He'll be back as guest host one more week next week, and I'm sure we'll have him back on as a guest because he seems to enjoy it. I will say after today, he still does. So thank you, Scott. A great conversation.
Thank you.
It did kind of go off in a different direction, but that's okay. It's the fun part of the internet. So I am Cecilia Supp. Thank you again. And like we always say, take 15 minutes or so and talk to somebody because you might learn something.
Right.
So thanks, everyone. We'll be back next week. Thanks, Scott.
Thank you, Cecilia.